Welcome back to MTDCNC. Nick, oh my gosh, the size of this machine, and I believe this is one of the smaller ones.
It is.
But I have to ask you two immediate questions. One, this is a big machine, but it is one of the smaller ones. And two, why is there a ramp? We almost came sliding down the hill as we walked out of the machine.
Well, we do that just because it looks cool.
Just because it looks cool. So this PROMAC machine is all about looking cool.
Just because it looks cool.
I don't believe you. There's got to be a reason for that.
So basically, this is a kind of the self-proclaimed ultimate mold making machine. This is a 15-degree angle 6-axis machine. So we actually put the Y-axis and the W-axis are not overlapping fully. So I'll kind of show the camera here. We're not overlapping fully. We kind of offset them about 30% or so. And also we give the 15-degree incline. Why would we do a 15-degree incline? So you can run the job up the hill, shorten up your tooling so you can do some heavy cutting. They've also got some pretty sweet technology in the spindle where down low and in lower RPMs, we crank up the bearing preload so you can really beat the heck out of the machine. As you start rolling faster, we start reducing the preload. So you kind of get a heavy cutting machine and a nice finishing machine all in one. But really the thought process behind the incline, run it up the hill, shorten up your tooling. Also run it up the hill, bring your head down in front of it and bring the, bring the spindle down. You can actually tip the head to negative 110 degrees. So we can actually undercut and actually even drill water lines from a negative 20-degree angle in relation to the job. I don't really know anybody else who can do that in one machine.
No, so that is really incredible. Those Italian-made machine, those Italians are quite clever.
They're pretty innovative.
I'm fascinated by the fact when you go uphill and you shorten that distance, because a lot of machines have to just, the spindle has to go down and you lose that rigidity. And then the added process of being able to get underneath. I mean, how many times are we fighting to do less and less operations on less and less machines? How many people are fighting for real estate space because they can't do 3 or 4 machines? They need to do more in one machine. Exactly. It seems like you've kind of incorporated a lot of that into one. Now, are we also able, because of this overall length we're looking at, are we able to put larger tools in there, things for like gun drilling and things? Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say it is not a gun drill, so I don't want people getting confused. However, we can tool change a 28-inch tool.
That's the point, is how the 28-inch length right there.
Exactly. We can do that through the tool changer, and then also too, typically, there's a whole strategy to doing this. You don't have a BTA set up like a traditional gun drill, but basically what we can do is, through spindle coolant, and with the proper techniques and with some of the tooling technology out that's absolutely insane these days, we can gun drill through a max size part on this. So this has actually got the 800 millimeter table on it. We can go up to a 1,000 millimeter table, but basically we can drill all the way, 2/3 of the way through and then come 2/3 of the way through from the other side. So if you have a mold in there that you need to, rather than taking it off and tying it up on a gun drill or whatever it is, just do it all in one machine.
So the next thing I want to talk about, Nick, is automation. Now, the world we're working in here in the U.S. and a lot of parts of the world, we're trying to figure out how to do more with less people. We all talk about the labor shortage. We're doing our best to create awareness and excitement amongst all parts of our industry for sure, but currently we have all the same issue. So automation, how easy is it to automate this machine, adapt to this? Because there's some really complicated situations and there's some really easy situations. Where do we sit with this PROMAC machine?
Yes, that is a very, very good question. It's actually one of my favorite points of the entire PROMAC line. Even all the way up to our monster gantries, they're all predispositioned for a pallet changer. So basically, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but at the back there's automatic doors. That's standard on all machines. And we do all of the automation off the back side. Me being a former service technician, I know what it was like when I had to go work on a pallet changer machine that's got the pallet changer in the front. It was a total nightmare. It's actually kind of scary because you're kind of in between 2 big moving pieces as a service tech. Operators, I've had the same exact feedback, is you gotta if you wanna get to the actual machine, you gotta interrupt the whole entire thing, climb in there between a robot or a pallet changer or whatever it is, where we do it all off the back. So it's pretty cool. And like I mentioned, actually it's kind of ironic, is our friends over at Eurotech over in Italy, they actually have a large automated PROMAC cell with gantries that they're they're literally shuttling the whole entire lathe bed into a PROMAC machine to do all the operations on the bed, and basically comes off of that, off of the PROMAC as a finished component. So it's kind of a cool story we like to tell, is that those machines are built on these machines. So,
well, that's cool in itself, but the fact that so much can be done inside of the one machine is kind of neat too, that when it comes off. Now, last thing I want to talk about today when it comes to this PROMAC machine is the software, right? Now, when you're talking about a machine like this, we're obviously thinking about parts that can get really expensive. We're talking about the size, oftentimes the material, so you have to have the best type of software to go with it. Now, I see a Tevis logo here, and I see HEIDENHAIN right here. Can we touch on both of those subjects?
Yeah, I mean, HEIDENHAIN, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of others, I think that as far as 5-axis performance, they'll run with anybody in the world. Actually, PROMAC, I think they might do it if we really, really, really wanted to. I would try to talk the customer out of it, because I think it's actually going to limit the machine. But HEIDENHAIN is their #1 go-to. They'll do Siemens, but I don't believe have any FANUC-controlled machines out there. Nothing against FANUC. I love FANUC. Everything has its place. But as far as 5-axis motion control, when you're talking live actual true 5-axis cutting, these are second to none. So that's that's kind of our go-to when it comes to controls. Our friends at Tevis, actually they're headquartered, North American headquarters is like 15 minutes from here. Great team from the top down. Those guys help us out with test cuts, demos. They're just good people. And when you want a nice surface finish, a lot of these, a big market for this style machine is the mold making world. You want surface finish, Tevis is, I mean, you want it to look like glass, it's gonna look like glass.
Can I tell you an interesting story that about Tevis itself? So you and I, we're on LinkedIn. The audience, they're obviously on LinkedIn. They watch what we do. They see what we put on camera, on film. How many times do you see, just in general, the polls that come through LinkedIn? A poll, right?
I've done one of them myself.
You've done one of them yourself, right? So oftentimes on these polls, they'll say, which software do you prefer? And there's some big names out there and some popular names. But when I'm scrolling through the comments, I'm willing to bet 9 times out of 10, the comment section says Tevis so many times. And it seems to happen so often. So for those of you out there in LinkedIn world, next time you see one of those polls or do one of the polls yourself, check it out. Pay attention. Look at those algorithms. See what's going on. Is there anything else you'd like to add about any of this that I have failed to ask you? Because being honest, this PROMAC machine is fascinating, but I'm learning from you in every single piece of this conversation. I want to make sure that you're able to take this moment to convey every message that you want to the audience.
I think the biggest thing, that I could talk about with PROMAC is just name recognition. There's not a whole heck of a lot of them out there. We have a big concentration of them in the Windsor area, so over there everybody knows PROMAC. But as far as in the States, we just don't have a lot of name recognition. We can do absolutely anything that a lot of the big, the bigger names can do. And again, I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but the thing that I really like is the people helping people aspect of it. I was actually text messaging with the owner of PROMAC about an hour ago. So it's pretty cool. When you've got an issue, sometimes with big manufacturers, and I came from one of them, is there's so many layers to get to the decision maker that it just kind of hinders the whole process. With PROMAC, it's a direct connection. And actually with a lot of our manufacturers, in fact, every single one of our manufacturers that we have here, even including the JTech line, these guys, we can get right to the president very quickly, and that is what it's all about. So we don't make our jobs very easy sometimes selling a lesser known product, but you know what, when I put it on somebody's floor, I can trust that we can take care of it. So that's really what matters.
Well, if I had a backup microphone, I would ask you to go ahead and drop yours, because that was a mic drop moment, and very well said. Boom. But do not drop my microphone. Thank you all for watching. This is PROMAC. This is MMS. I hope you've learned as much as I have today. Again, Nick, thank you so much for joining me at MTDCNC.
Thank you.